Welcome back to the Lars Larson Show. It's a pleasure to be with you on a Monday, just 16 days till Christmas, and Merry Christmas to all of you, including Bruce Klingner, who is a senior researcher that specializes in Korea and Japan and a former CIA deputy chief for Korea. I wanted to talk to you about some of the things that were happening over this past weekend, Bruce, so thanks for the time tonight.
Well, thanks for having me back.
So, over the weekend, the little rocket man and his government-controlled media applauded his latest rocket launch. Does this latest North Korean missile test mean that the things we had hoped might come out of talks directly between the the dictator of North Korea and the president of the United States are over and done with, and we're not going to get anything out of them?
Well, this wasn't actually a launch that went in the air. It's what's called a static rocket engine test, where they take probably the first stage of maybe an ICBM and kind of strap it down and light it off to do a test. So it wasn't like the 26 other launches that have actually gone in the air and violated UN resolutions.
Got it.
Along with the launch, the North Korean ambassador to the UN said that denuclearization is off the table. And what we've seen with North Korean officials throughout the years, they've been reiterating Kim Jong-un's sort of, don't forget that at the end of the year, our patience runs out when we start ratcheting up tension. But they've sort of done something new, which is more directly criticize or even insult President Trump. So that they're really ratcheting up kind of the pressure on the U.S. They think they may have the upper hand because they keep referencing the election. So, we're in for a bit of a rough ride, I think, in the next several weeks or months.
So what do they hope to accomplish by doing this static test on the ground? And thank you for that correction. But what does this do other than simply communicate to us? Or were they actually doing it because they had some launch vehicles that they wanted to do those kinds of tests on to advance their technology?
Well, I think it's two things. One is it's, as with all the launches, the actual launches they've done this year, it improves their military capability, and we don't know yet what kind of system they tested. But this is at a known, test area, so they would have known the U.S. would have been watching it with satellites. So it's a way of sending a signal of, if you don't give in to us, if you don't abandon your negotiating position, we will start ratcheting up tensions with longer and longer range missile tests, perhaps even a space launch vehicle, which is kind of an ICBM in civilian clothing, all a way of trying to send a signal to the president of, nice re-election campaign you got there. Shame if something were to break. Shame if, things were to get interesting. Don't you want to kind of capitulate to us and give us what we want in order to have a quiet year in the run-up to the election?
Because you could well imagine that if Kim really wants to create problems for the president, he could really ratchet things up in the summer or after the summer of next year and before the fall elections, and it probably would. I guess it could cut both ways. It could say this is a real threat and Trump's tried to deal with it in a meaningful way, or it could say that Donald Trump, his one initiative with North Korea didn't go anywhere, didn't produce a final result, and it could be damaging to the president's reelection campaign if Kim decides to go that way.
Yeah, exactly. I think what North Korea has done is referenced the election several times, which is something I really don't remember them doing that before. And so what they may see it as the president has declared his relationship with Kim is the greatest foreign policy accomplishment of his administration. So they may see that they've got the upper hand. They can pressure him. You do anything to maintain, a quiet status quo. But as they ratchet up pressure, if they cross the red line that Trump has really laid out of a nuclear test or an ICBM test, we really don't know how the U.S. will respond. Will it be, well, you broke your word to me, we're back to fire and fury and trying to prevent an attack as we were in 2017, or are we not going to go back down that path? But in any case, if North feels have got the upper hand, it can be pushed. And there's really, more of a danger of miscalculation by either side.
Bruce, it's a pleasure as always. Thanks so much. Where do you think it goes next? And what is Donald Trump's next likely move? Or is he so preoccupied with the impeachment, with the hearings, and all the other issues that he's got on his plate that in North Korea at least, and any new, overtures toward North Korea are not likely to be at the top of that pile.
Well, I think on the North Korean side, they're going to sort of go up the escalation ladder, do medium-range test, intermediate-range test. If they do ICBM or nuke, they really have crossed the line. The U.S., I think, is going to continue to say, look, we're trying to talk to you guys, and you're the ones who keep refusing to talk. The U.S. isn't going to jump to fire and fury unless North Korea crosses a red line. So really, the ball is in North Korea's court right now.
Fair enough. Hey, Bruce, thanks so much. And if I don't talk to you before then, have a wonderful Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Well, thanks very much, and the same to you.
It's a pleasure. That's Bruce Klingner, who is a senior researcher who specializes in Korea and Japan. He's the former CIA deputy chief for Korea. Glad to